Weekend's fixtures then. Sheffield United against Tottenham. What a win it was for Sheffield United last time out, though. Chris Wilder really needed that. How big could that win be for the rest of this season for them?
Well, it was a fantastic win for them, you know, the penalty they got. But it comes from winning football matches. And it was the cup game that they got a win. And they hadn't won all season. And psychologically, that just does the world of good. In that dressing room after that cup game, they've won a match. You go into the next one believing a little bit more that you can win the next. Now they've won that game, it's from Tottenham's point of view, it's the worst time to come and play Sheffield United because they'll be full of confidence.
And this is the thing about them as well. I mean, you mentioned about how a win like that changes the mentality. But even in that run they had where it was the worst return any team had ever had over that many games, and yet they never felt that bad, because if you look at both the performances and the results, I think out of something like 15 games before the win, only 2 or 3 of those were by more than one goal.
Yeah, fine margins.
So narrow all the time, and so in games.
Do you know the little stat? The Derby County team I captained from the January, the only win of the season that year was against
Newcastle
United.
Just looking at there, look, there's only Southampton that have actually given them a bit of a roasting. The rest is always by 1 goal. Palace 2. And that's it. Everything's been really tight, hasn't it?
With that in mind then, Glenn, do you give them any hopes of staying up?
I do. Because this season is quite an incredible season where everyone's taking points off each other. If they get on a run, if they were to beat Tottenham at the weekend, I personally think it'd be a draw, strangely enough. But if they get on a run and get momentum, that's why your likes of Newcastle and teams, you know, are still in this relegation battle, and probably some teams above them as well. Because Sheffield United are a team, they've proved to themselves, that's the key, that they've played and done well in the Premier League. And if they start getting the momentum right and they start getting the confidence going, believing they can win football matches, they've proved to themselves, they've done it before last season, they could get themselves out of trouble. It's a big ask, but it's a possibility. If you'd have asked me and they hadn't had these 2 wins, I'd have said no chance. But confidence and winning matches does such a different thing to a player and a set of players. The confidence comes, it's like a new team come out there. You're playing against, Tottenham have been playing against a different team than any of the other opponents this year. You know, they've played against teams where their confidence is low, they're not looking forward to the game. They can't wait to get out against Tottenham. They can't wait for the game to come around. They wouldn't have had that feeling in that camp for week after week.
How far up the table do you go then, Miguel, in terms of who's fighting for survival?
I think right now, given still we're not even at the halfway point, I think you can actually go right up to the halfway point of the actual table.
Really?
I think, it's been that volatile a season, and because it's already been proven repeatedly, in which it's like the Championship. The complexion of clubs can change within 3 games. I think it can.
Do you think teams on 20, 23, 24 points are still in a relegation battle?
In this season, it only takes 3 games, and someone below them suddenly just get a little bit of a spike, and then it's 20 points, but it's not the same anymore. There's not the same gap. And then you're looking over your shoulder.
So Arsenal in a relegation battle, you think?
I'd say Arsenal just outside of it. Just outside.
Leeds?
Oh, yeah.
Relegation battle?
Not a relegation battle.
Well,
more so, they could very easily get sucked into it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like at the moment, I'd say there's only about 5 or 6 in an actual battle. But in terms of who would actually rule out getting relegated, I'd go quite high.
Spurs. Entertainment.
No, I don't think they're in the battle. No.
Entertain. Are they entertaining? Are they dull? Have they got a manager to get them trophies? Where are Spurs? One of the most entertaining players Spurs have ever had. Do they frustrate you?
Yes.
But will they frustrate you if they pick up trophies into the season?
Well, this is the point. This is why Mourinho's been brought. He's in a cup final already. If we were talking here and he wasn't in the League Cup final, obviously against City, a tough game, but that's what he's been brought in to do, is win trophies. It's not the Tottenham way, but whilst the crowd's not in...
What is the Tottenham way?
Well,
they've won now.
I'll tell you what the Tottenham way is.
Winning nothing. The Tottenham way is winning nothing.
The Tottenham way is the way they scored that goal against Fulham. You tell me about a goal.
The Tottenham way is not winning anything.
No, but you know what I'm saying. There's a demand at that place at Tottenham where it's been tradition. The fans, you have to play good football. You have to, with the fans.
Why, though?
Well, this is it. But there's a new generation of Tottenham fans coming through that are not worried about that. They're up against the Chelseas and the Man Cities and the other fans in their school, in their classroom, and they don't care about that. They now want to win trophies. So the older generation, when I was playing in front of, and before me, there was this style of play that was put back in the 60s, in the 50s actually. And it was this way of playing. It was creative, it was the way that they can play. That's what frustrates me. This Tottenham side have got a lot of creativity. You suddenly see them for 30 minutes, first 15 minutes against Fulham. Fulham came out of the traps really well. Tottenham were a little bit in between. Suddenly, for 30 minutes, they played attacking with a bit of freedom. They scored a wonder goal, fabulous goal. And then suddenly, second half, that goes back into its shell. And is that Mourinho saying to them at half time, well, we don't go forward now, we just...
Do you think it is Mourinho?
Well, this is the big question for me. I think they've got to sort that out one way or another. If it is the manager, the clarity isn't there. They've got to sit down with the team he has, or the captain's got to go to him and say, look, Gaffer, 1-0, we feel as if your subs are telling us, the subs you bring on are telling us we're holding on to something. We need to know whether we go for the throat, which they can do. Because you know what happens? When they go 1-1, when they lose that goal, they go on the front foot again, and they start playing like they were in the first half, in the early stages of a game, when it's 0-0. So it frustrates the life out of Spurs fans. And if they go and win the League Cup, and then if they have a run in Europa, and they end up in the top 4, that would be a sensational season for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Let's face it.
Yeah.
But it is curious, isn't it, Glenn? Because the fact that they're unbeaten when they go ahead in matches this season, but they drop a lot of points. They've dropped 10 points from winning positions when they've scored first this season, Miguel. So why can't they finish these games off? Because if they'd won all of those matches, they'd be right up there.
I mean, also it's 6 goals after 80 minutes conceded, which is remarkable. It is difficult not to put it down to the nature of the manager. I mean, as Glenn said, we don't know if he's actually instructing the players to do this, but there has always been this kind of mentality issue with Mourinho, in which his instinct is more to protect rather than to create. And it also feels a bit curious with this specific Spurs team, because in Mourinho teams of the past, he's had really cast iron defences, like defenders like Carvalho, whereas this Spurs team doesn't quite feel as... I mean, basically all the talent feels front-loaded. Yeah. Kane, Son, and Ndombele, imagine like those 3 together in a team that was really properly attacking. Whereas it feels like Mourinho leans on his defence more, and it's not quite as reliable.
So if they don't win the cup, don't finish in the top 4, poor in the Europa League, is that success this season for it, or has Mourinho failed in?
No, he's failed. If he hasn't, he's been brought in to win a trophy. He's won a trophy at every club he's ever been at. So that's why Daniel Levy reacted so quickly and went and got him. He's been brought in to win a trophy. He's won a trophy at every club he's ever been at. So that's why Daniel Levy reacted so quickly and went and got him.
Is winning the League Cup enough?
Yeah, because he won the League Cup, his first trophy at Chelsea was the League Cup. You can't just go from there to there. It just doesn't happen. A little stepping stone would be the League Cup. Yeah, that would be a real good thing, and it would keep players interested in staying at Tottenham. Getting back to the substitutions gives you the impression of what he wants. He could have brought Dele Alli on the other day.
Yeah.
He could have brought Dele Alli and he had Gareth Bale. Those two were never getting on. They were never getting on. What he did is he put Lamela on, he put Sissoko into the midfield, and to strengthen the midfield up defensively. And so them options were there on the bench. And now if you see Dele Alli coming on, or Bale, the other players, Kane and Son, think, hey, the emphasis is we're going to try and win this game from 1-0. And it's not. It's like the manager wants to defend, so we'll play deeper, we'll go deeper. And in the end, as I said, they were hanging on against Fulham, like they were hanging on against Palace and a few other games where they were in control. When they're in control of a game, it seems like they're 1-0 up, you're in control of the game. Instead of going for the throat and winning the game in that moment, they're putting the handbrake on. Yeah. And that's got to change. And if it does, what you're saying, Jules, with all them extra points that they should, what could it be? What could it have been a season of for Tottenham? And you don't want that looking back at the end of the season going, wow, what could have happened if only we'd have just done that? They've got the players to do it.
Yeah, they do. It'll be interesting to see whether that approach changes for this game against Sheffield United.